Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician, here to host the Market Buzz. This show looks at weekly setups across the U.S. market. Using the tools available on StockCharts, we'll look for long time frame trades. Please subscribe to my articles and Twitter feed, and you'll be able to follow along as the markets develop. I do want to discuss some of the technical situation out there. So the market's been running since the last options expiration day, which was on Friday, December 21st, and we're going all the way to this Friday coming up here in 2 days. We'll have our next options expiration. So it's been running, and it's been beautiful. Lots of people are worried that the market's going to roll over here. But I'm starting to notice some sector rotation. So that's what we're going to cover off today, is a little bit about what's changing. And so what we're seeing is financials are starting to rally, and I think everybody's probably noticed that the financials are kicking it up today. But even if you didn't have CNBC, how would you notice that on the StockCharts website, and what would be your clues? So we're going to cover those off. And then literally sitting there watching Netflix last night and going through my charts and just finding some charts that look good. And all of these industry groups are really doing well. And I'll get into a few of them and then just show you what I'm looking for. And again, long-term trades, not trying to day trade these. So hopefully you can find some ideas in there for your trading style. Whoops, missed the button there. Okay, so first of all, here's the market update for this morning, and we've got the Dow up 130 currently, and the NASDAQ is sitting here up 0.43, so not as outperforming as it was yesterday on Netflix move, but still doing okay. But the point I want to make is over here on the technical rankings tool, I've got StockCharts technical ranking listed, and for the large caps, and here's Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, and Morgan Stanley. These are all just big banking stocks that everybody's aware of. And if you look through this list, these are just what are the fast-moving scooter rankings. And so this is the top up for today. These are the top 10 with the highest scooter ranking right now. The difference is these are the ones that are moving today. So I just want to point that out. And then as you go through, here's United Airlines. It's also having a move. And you can see this data updates real time because it just moved on me. But here's United Airlines. And the nice part about when you're looking at these ranking tools, it'll help see some trends that are going on. So then we're going to get into the market summary and just scroll through here. Green across the board for the most part. Everything's looking, even the transports are up. They're actually up the biggest today, so they're really rolling. And you can always sort these based on percentage change, whichever direction you want. And in this case, financials are flying today, so they're a nice space to be a part of. And if we look at some of these others, here's broker dealers, and they've been beaten down, really destroyed with a lot of the Goldman Sachs stuff related to Malaysia and that kind of thing. So we see those have pulled down a long way, but all of the others have participated with similar charts. So Morgan Stanley, that kind of thing. So what I want to get into today is talking about specific stuff that's working. I'm getting a buy signal or very close to a buy signal on my oil stuff. I've got two different charts I use, and I'll show you those right away. But in general, rest of world is doing pretty well as well. And I think this global rally, we've been talking about it for weeks. My article on the weekend said Asia's looking bullish, and we just keep seeing positive news coming out of a lot of these charts. So let's not listen to the news. Let's watch the price action and see what investors are doing. So let's just start with the energy sector. And I like it when everything gets over the 50-day moving average. So what do you see here? We're right at it on all of these indicators. And so as soon as this starts to jump on board, this would be great. Now, I have one more that I like to use, and I just want to show it because it's triggered a buy signal today or this week. Down here in the bottom, roughly every 3 years, we have these deep pullbacks in momentum. And so up in the top here is the bullish percent for energy, and it swings wildly. So all of these are the are the high readings and low readings, and I've turned off the data because it swings really up and down. But we recently had a reading of 3%. So it's not covering this brown line. This is the exploration and production ETF. But what I want to cover off here is when you get these beautiful oversold momentum readings, this is a nice place to get on board. And what you look at here is June 29th, 2017. And here's what exploration and production did. And we have to use the left-hand scale here, but basically it went from $32.50 to $44 or $43 in a few months. I guess 10 months, 12 months, but a nice big thrust. And you can see that this indicator really started to swing. So we've been deeply oversold. And so from down here, we're looking, and again, in commodities, you want to buy when everything is low and sell when everything is high. These are not like biotech stocks that are going to run, for a long, long time. They're going to change direction quickly, and you need to trade with them and then get out of the way when they're not going your direction. Okay, so in general, we see lots of positive price action, and the financials have been doing pretty well. And what I've done, sitting in front of Netflix last night, going through an industry chart list. And what is an industry chart list? An industry chart list is literally all of the Dow Jones indexes. And just, this isn't hard work, but this is just sitting here going through, looking at the chart and saying, what is the chart shape? And I don't like this one because it doesn't look like it's ready to break its sort of downward trend, whereas here or here, it's starting to get moving. So I'm looking for something that's already getting set up. And an example, let me just click down here. If we scroll through, and I should have tried to, I have the names of them. I should have found one that I liked a little better. But here's, this one is commercial vehicles and trucks. And what you see here is you can draw a trend line that's starting to break. And the second part of this that I like is this is a big, wide, broad space, and then this is much tighter space, and this is starting to turn up. And normally what you see is right near the lows, you'll get that final little small pullback, and then it'll take off running. And I particularly like when there's trend lines that I can set on these. So all of these, when they start to get their trend line set up, I want to start to look for those. So just going through the list, there's a whole bunch that you could go through and you could select from. And this week we had durable household products also looking pretty good. And when you look, you can see this downward trend is starting to break. And even though price hasn't started to break out yet, all of my indicators are starting to turn up here. So the momentum, and again, momentum leads price. So momentum is breaking out. Price has put in a big high wave, probably the highest wave it's put in a long time. Usually might mark an exhaustion move. And now we've started to build higher highs, and well, at least this point, we've got a higher low, and now if this goes up here, we'd have a higher high. So that's what we're looking for. We're breaking the downtrend in relative strength compared to the S&P 500, and you can see that that was going on for 18 months. So this is just a good trend change that we're starting to see. And as we go through these, again, there's a whole bunch of different chart shapes that we can look through in the financial services index. Just as you come along here, this one's still a long way away. And so I've drawn the line here, but I'm not seeing what I want yet. There's a little short 4-month line here. I usually find the 4-month is a little too tight. And if you look back here in 2016, it came down and then it ran up and then it retested and then took off. Don't get me wrong, that's still a very nice trade from here to here. So you're more than welcome to just look for something like a weekly PPO turning up, but for me, that's not enough information. I want something that's getting better, in better shape. And as we go forward, it's that better shape that I want to find, and I'm just going to scoot out here to view all mode. Just grab the summary look, and I want to, if you use Command F or Control F, you can search for something specific. So I'm going to go Dow Jones US, and the one I'm going to cover off right now is just pipelines. And the reason I want to cover this off is this has been breaking out of kind of a 6-month downtrend, and it's starting to turn up, and you can see price action is starting to move. Full stochastic is moving above 50, and we don't really have any relative strength breakout here yet, but some of the price action on these stocks is really looking good. And so what I do is I literally just go grab a technical the technical scan engine, and don't be overwhelmed by this. This is pretty simple stuff. We're going to type as stock, and the simple moving average volume is 40,000 over 20 days. So you don't want something that's only 2,000. The volume is only 2,000 in any stock or something. You want something with a little bit more, and even 40,000 is light. We could improve this somewhat. But what we write here is and there's two sets of brackets. So one is we're going to bracket this whole OR group, and it goes all the way down to here. And we're literally just going to go through and pick names. And the way you would do that is, so you go through and you find the chart shapes you like, and now I just want to go and say, okay, here's internet. So I want to add that, and you would click on this and add it. And when you do that, it's going to put it at the bottom. Well, I've already put internet in here, so I just went through, and there was about 10 groups that looked exciting this week. And again, they were in the opening PowerPoint slide. But all of these groups are looking interesting because they're starting to break their downward trend in momentum. And really, that's all I'm looking for at this point. So the other thing that I want to do is I don't really want a whole bunch of the weak stocks from the group. I want to find out which ones are the leaders that are starting to turn this group around. And so just casually picking something like a scooter greater than 60. So what that means is the price action lately is better than 60% of the stocks in its market cap group. So we have large cap, small cap, and mid cap. And what we want to look for is just something with a scooter ranking of 60 rather than specifically saying large. And you have that choice here. You could go scooter large, scooter mid, scooter small. If you'd rather play small caps, whatever you want to do. In this case, I'm looking for them all. So I've just put SCTR greater than 60. When we run that scan, we get a whole bunch of names. And let me just put it into summary mode. So, and I think the scan came up with 100 names just to pick a number. And again, if we run this scan, won't hurt. If we run this scan, yeah, 109 names, and I've already put them into a group, but we would replace an existing chart list, and you just have a scan group that you want to run against, and just have a whole bunch of these set up so you can drop them in at any time. I'm going to use scanning 75 breakout. It doesn't really matter. And drop them in there. Now, there's a couple of things that we can do. Again, we can sort them on scooter ranking and just have the strongest ones first or whatever. And to do that, then go to the bottom of the page and just say number in sorted order. And what it's going to do is put a number in front of these ticker symbols or names. And so that way it'll hold the sort order that we have. Now, when I ran the scan earlier, because the scooter ranking is changing, even we just saw Steve Madden had a scooter ranking of 55. It had a 60 when we ran the scan and quickly changes. So these are moving, but in general, what you're looking for, if you did it after market close, obviously it's a little more stable. But now I just want to go through and I want to look either at, you could go 10 per page and just scroll through 10 pages, takes a couple minutes, or you can use a candle glance view. In this case, this is a 6-month view. What I would prefer is a 1-year view. And I want to add my indicator, and the indicator that I want is PPO. I use it a lot just for momentum. I'm going to stay with the defaults, and I want to sort it so that it's descending. So I want the strongest PPO reading first, and that's going to pop this up. So when we look at these, this is not hard to do, but a lot of the home builders were starting to break out, and I think that's an important one. So here's LGI Homes, and it's already moved up $10 off this nice base. We can see Netflix is shooting up here. So as we go across, these are going to be mixed because I've asked for a whole bunch of them. But look at this beautiful trend in Crocs, and it had really no pullback in the October, November, December timeframe. It shot up in, I'll call it mid-November, and then pulled back a little into December and has gone on to make higher highs already. That's a beautiful chart. And as we work through, hotels and lodging have done really well. And here's Red Lion Hotels. And I think it was Intercontinental Hotels has also got a nice looking chart. But whatever you're looking for. So in this case, here's a 1 year downtrend and the stock is starting to turn. And here's Toll Brothers and the stock is starting to turn up nicely. I think, that's pretty nice. Here's, if you like semiconductors, there's some in this group. Here's Bluebird, so they're the bus company. Taylor Morrison, I believe that's housing as well. And turning up, here's Enbridge, and it's almost making new 52-week highs. So that's in the pipeline area. And there were some REITs. So this is just a simple list of looking at the charts. And I prefer to look at them in the weekly. But the reason I want to show you these is just the charts in general have been pulling back, but I want to find stuff that's long-term trending and starting to change trend. So here's MH Homes, and here's Pulte Group, so 2 more home builders. And we're just going to flip to the next page and take some time. Yeah, here's Intercontinental. Here's Tupperware, and look at this nice base that it's been building for 6 months, trying to break out through this. These are great shapes on charts. This Deere & Company, I want to show you that one specifically. There's lots going on there that make that particular chart worth checking out. So hopefully you get the idea of why we're doing this scan. And now I'll get into, so again, let me go look and just show you. Again, what we're looking for is some sort of downtrend in price. And I did this manually, just going through and looking. You could scan for PPO crosses. And the way to do that, if you're not trying to find it on exactly this week, is you would scan for a histogram greater than 0, and it would find something that has turned 1, 2, or 3 weeks ago, as an example. So on your scanning engine, maybe let me just point that out. So you're going to go to technical indicators, and you would pick PPO. And there's the line, so you could say the line is greater than the signal line, or if you just did PPO histogram and put that in, what it would say is add. We just go look at that. It's always going to add it at the bottom, but this is just saying it's greater than 0. So if you think about that, what that means is the actual line has crossed above its signal line, and so it's in a positive formation. Okay, let's jump into some of the individual stocks and that we found on the candle glance view. And one of them that I'd like to show you, this Cameco chart is sitting here right at the top, trying to break out to new 52-week highs. Here's Deere & Company, and it's at new 9-month highs. I mentioned Enbridge Pipeline, and some of the pipeline charts are just beautiful. But as you roll through here, you can either, right-click on some of these. This is another pipeline. This is another midstream company, I guess. But as you do these, just open the link and go and look. Now, whether it's, I'm not so interested in the daily. I want to focus on the weekly. And what I want to look for, again, is these trend changes where I can draw a downward trend in momentum and it's starting to turn up. And I particularly like it when a whole group is doing that. So that's why we started with the industry group rather than just searching through individual companies. So I want to look at these, but the one chart in here that I found pretty interesting, and I just want to find it, is Deere. And if I don't see it quickly, I'll just type it in. Don't see it. So so the reason I want to show you Deere is it has some beautiful pattern to it. And this is a chart back in 2016, and it based for almost a year. And then it went on a 1-year run, and now it's based for almost a year. And you can see that it was almost unnoticeable, the 20% pullback we had in the market. Basically, Deere just stayed inside its channel, and it's already testing the levels it was at, back in September before the whole thing started to fall apart. So we see the SCTR ranking is really high. We see the relative strength breaking out to new all-time highs, and the PPO is just turning above 0. Like, to me, it looks, going way back here, you can pick anywhere in here, but it, basically ran sideways for a while and then started to turn up. So I think we're right in here where it's just starting to turn after being sideways. And again, if it's going to go on some sort of a breakout above this base, this is a really nice setup for us, and we could watch to see if that was going to move. Now, when we run the scan, so we've got this set up here. The other thing that we can do is we can go into summary mode. And in summary mode, right now I don't have all of the columns, so let's just go get a few, but we could go and pick the industry group and then we could sort by that. And the advantage of doing that is now we just want to see how many stocks in each group are doing pretty well. And in this case, commercial vehicles, look at all of these that showed up on this one scan that are pretty interesting. So if there was something in there that we wanted to specifically go look at, we could. Now, the way to do that, obviously, if we could click here and go back and forth, whatever. But what I want to show you is a different way of doing that. So we need to get rid of the numbers on the front of these. So we're going to just go down to the edit page. And on the edit page, it allows you to edit these names. So we're going to scroll to the bottom. And at the bottom, it says remove numbers from. But we have to select the whole group. So that we need check marks in here. And then say remove the numbers. And from that, the numbers are gone. Now, we go back to the summary mode because in summary mode, we can add these different columns that we want to sort by. So we're sorted by, let's put it on scooter ranking and then industry. And what that'll do is it'll put the highest in each group at the top and then it'll decline. And now we're going to scroll down to the bottom and hit number in sorted order. And that's going to allow us to go through and look at groups of stocks within their industry at the same time. So here's the Deere chart. And I particularly like weekly. So I just want to go and make all of the charts in here weekly. So I'm going to say apply the style to all. And now all of the charts in here are going to be weekly. And then we can just flip through, or we could view all and just view 10 per page. So here's Deere trying to break out of a base. And again, all of these are commercial vehicles. We're starting to get a turn up right at 0 on the PPO after about a 4-month slide. Full stochastic moving above 50, relative strength breaking out to new all-time highs. It's been on a 3-year uptrend. I don't see anything that you wouldn't like here. AGCO, this has been pulling down for a while. It's trying to break out of call it a 6-month base. PPO is just starting to turn up. You could draw a trend line across this PPO. The relative strength was declining. It's now improving. So all of this period when the market was going down, this stock was actually outperforming the S&P 500. And we've got this nice positive push here on the full stochastic pointing higher, and the the scooter ranking has moved back up above 75. So if you're going to get a nice thrust here in this whole group, this is a nice place to be. And if you think about when you go through business cycles and all of a sudden trucking comes back into vogue and it starts to turn up again, then they're going to order new trucks and new trucking equipment. Or in this case, Hyster-Yale is forklifts and that kind of stuff. So as you see this start to break out here, these are all just very nice. PPO trying to move above 0. It's been climbing in momentum for a while, building out this base and just trying to break out to new 6-month highs. Very, very nice. Commercial vehicle group. This chart's got some big gaps in it on a weekly basis. So as I look at that, that would bother me a little bit. I don't really like this short trend line here. I'd rather use this long one and maybe give it a chance to get a little bit higher. But for some investors, they might like to pick it up right here. And again, it's part of an accelerating group, so that would be okay. Here's Bluebird. Already got your PPO cross. Again, September, the end of September is when everything rolled over. So this is a 4-month downtrend and started to push higher. That's kind of my minimum that I would like to see. So this chart's okay. It's not my favorite. And then here's Meritor. Big downtrend here coming along. And you can see that I could draw a trend line across the top of the PPO and it's starting to break that. And one of the reasons I think that that trend line works is when you think about all the algorithmic buying that is going on in the market, they have to use something. They're either going to use the slope of the moving average or the moving averages themselves or the slope of momentum. And when momentum starts to improve, that's when you want to start to pick it up. And so here we have the PPO, and it's been declining, and it comes down into this low. And again, lots of stuff came into that low. So in hindsight, it all looks wonderful. Well, the reality is that's where we are right now, is we've come into a big low and everybody's afraid things are going lower. I get it. But the other thing we need to watch for is what is starting to work. And this whole list that we've put together today is exactly that. So as we shoot through here, we're starting to see, these setups that are similar to what we've had before, and they look like they want to move. So here's Cummins engine. Momentum's been improving for a while. Any sort of turn up here at the end, here's PACCAR, which is a truck company. I can't believe I used to work in this industry and I can't remember the names of all of their names, Kenworth and that kind of stuff. So anyway, with PACCAR, same idea here. I would draw a trend line down here. You're getting a PPO cross, the full stochastic's moving above 50, and the whole group is starting to move. So to me, this is a very popular way to go. Now, we can move through. Again, here's shoes. I've just jumped forward. Here's Eldorado Resorts. So this is obviously in a different business group. So now we're into gaming, and you could go through, if it's gaming you want to look at, you can see that this downward trend line is starting to break and this wants to turn up. So I hope I've given you some ideas of ways to look for weekly charts that are starting to turn up from an oversold base. This chart in general, here's Monarch Casino. This has been a 4-year uptrend. It took a year off, and it's just starting to turn up now, and your momentum line is just starting to break. I would strongly encourage you to be aware of when these downward trends in momentum start to break, and I think they give you a much better chance of finding something that wants to turn, especially after these big long runs and then they've taken a year off and now they start to rejuvenate themselves. So I think hopefully I've given you some things to work with. So now the second thing I want to do is just cover off what were in those groups, and then we're going to wrap it up here. So the financials are taking off again, and you could see that on the homepage. The semiconductors, pipelines, railroads, real estate, you can read them all there, but those are great. So with that, thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs live on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 a.m. Pacific on StockCharts TV. You can also catch up on the StockCharts YouTube channel or on StockCharts TV, which has a running list of technical charting informational shows. Thank you.